Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Paramashivoham.
Nithyanandam Paramashivoham Kevalam Jnanamurtim Bandhaditam Gamanakadam Tattvamasya Dilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhudam Bhavadidam Trivanagagitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Hello everyone, we welcome you all to the first day of the Vijayotsavam, the celebration of 10 days marking the day all the anti-Hindu elements and all the anti-spiritual elements decided to commit suicide, decided to rid themselves from the sufferings, the conflicts and torture they are inflicting on Hinduism, on the leaders of the various Hindu traditions, Hindu sampradayas, and ultimately on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself. Today is a celebration for the worst genocidal attack, turning into a grand, unimaginable victory for Hindus. For more than 2,000 years, indigenous Hindu civilizations, which thrived in 56 different nations and spanned 6 million square kilometers of Asia, was wiped off through mass murders, killing more than 400 million indigenous Hindu people. The Vijayotsavam, which we are celebrating today, is the day the anti-spiritual elements committed suicide, is the day when the same genocide was attempted on the 1008th incarnation of Paramashivam, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. And we know what happens when demons, the anti-spiritual elements, tried to attack Paramashiva. They all had set the stage for their own personal destruction. The day Ravana airlifted Sita, he decided to commit suicide. Same way, the day they attacked, tried to eliminate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, they decided to commit suicide. Each and every anti-spiritual enemy has turned into a war horse that pulls the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's chariot forward for the grand success of KAILASA, the only Hindu nation. The anti-spiritual elements are consumed by their own hatred and anger, and didn't realize that the more they cherish enmity towards Paramashiva, the faster they pull the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's chariot forward. Once the mad horse is tamed by its own hunger, it will drive the chariot of its tamer. Today, we celebrate not the suicide of any persons, but the suicide of anti-spiritual ideologies, anti-spiritual and anti-Hindu elements. The more Hinduism's enemies cherish enmity, the more they pull the Dharma Ratha, the wheel of the cosmic justice, to roll forward, thereby killing their own purpose and destroying themselves. The magnificence of the Supreme Conduct of Hinduism's victories over every attack is that each were victories for the grand narrative of Hinduism itself. Using warfare and lawfare, they drove the Supreme Conduct of Hinduism literally homeless and nameless. But he returned creating Kailasa, which is a real nation that is now immune to all warfare, lawfare, giving the possibility of sovereign land for all Hindus today, who are driven homeless and nameless by anti-spiritual elements. When the anti-spiritual elements froze all of the Supreme Conduct of Hinduism's bank accounts to stop all social and humanitarian services, the Supreme Conduct of Hinduism responded by creating the Reserve Bank of Kailasa, which is now a safe haven for all dharmic services for 2 billion Hindus. The anti-spiritual elements created algorithmic typhoons on the internet, jamming the internet by spreading mass distorted and defaming information about the Supreme Conduct of Hinduism and many other indigenous Hindu leaders. Today, those same algorithmic torrents spread the news of Kailasa's successes like wildfire, giving avenues for all Hindus in all the cyberspaces to have their voice heard through Kailasa's social media services and embassies. The anti-spiritual elements illegally imprisoned the Supreme Conduct of Hinduism, throwing on him the false rape cases and various false charges. The Supreme Conduct of Hinduism was imprisoned, starved, and tortured, but without waiting even a moment to give back, to contribute back to humanity. The Supreme Conduct of Hinduism, from within the jail cell itself, started organizing for all the prison inmates to have free food through the Annadana services. Today, the Supreme Conduct of Hinduism is feeding more than 1 billion people worldwide through the various Kailasas, through the various sovereign lands and embassies of Kailasa. The anti-spiritual elements didn't allow for the Supreme Conduct of Hinduism to worship his own deities in his own lands. He was not allowed to worship in his own home. The Supreme Conduct of Hinduism, through Kailasa's foreign services, has sought out the safest homes for Hinduism. Its people and temples in lands where Hinduism is not even recognized as a religion. The Supreme Conduct of Hinduism has established diplomatic relations and secured agreements with their leaders to allow the Hindu worship to happen undisturbed, thereby giving homes for practicing Hindus all around the world. The anti-spiritual forces used lawfare to ban the Supreme Conduct of Hinduism from speaking and teaching Hinduism. Through Kailasa, the Supreme Conduct of Hinduism has given voice to 2 billion Hindus to speak out about the violation of human and divine rights being done to them. The anti-spiritual elements dashed the sacredness of Sannyas order that the Supreme Conduct of Hinduism belongs to. Through Kailasa, now no sadhu needs to fear for their lives and their freedom to follow that tradition. Today is the day we celebrate these and many more unfathomable victories of Hinduism through the grand narrative of Kailasa, all by the divine grace and blessings of the 1,008 incarnations, the Paramavatara of Paramashivoham, the Supreme Conduct of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. Today is the convergence of space-time, where all the Hindus are blessed to have all their prayers for refuge, rescue, and rejuvenation, delivered by the only Hindu nation of Kailasa. We celebrate today as the day when the anti-spiritual elements expose themselves to Paramashivam and set a cosmic course for their ultimate destruction of themselves and all anti-spiritual, anti-Hindu elements through the establishment of the only Hindu nation of Kailasa by the 1,008 incarnation of Paramashivam, the Supreme Conduct of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda. This is not just the happening of our era. From time immemorial, since the time of Paramashiva himself, when he came down and manifested, on this bhumi, on this planet Earth, in various ways through various forms. Initially, the ego of Brahma, the arrogance and pride of Daksha Prajapati, to which, as we were sharing, beginning with the ego of Lord Brahma, the pride and arrogance of Daksha Prajapati, the atheistic mental setup and attitude of the Tarakavana rishis. Throughout the Puranic history, if you see, through various ways in various forms, Paramashiva lands and wipes all negativity, cleanses, rejuvenates the world of all negativity and giving new life back. We also would like to take this opportunity to welcome all the Paramashivoham participants. We also would like to take this opportunity to welcome all the Paramashivoham participants on this auspicious day where the victory of the supreme founder of Hinduism are celebrated. On the day, all the anti-spiritual elements decided to commit suicide and allow the manifestation of Paramashiva, the superconscious breakthrough, to happen. Historically, each and every time, the Paramashiva happens on this planet Earth when an Asura, a Rakshasa, a demon, when they take form, when they start creating rakas, when they start creating problems for themselves and for all the lokas and dimensions of our plane, naturally, they are inviting their own destruction upon them. Throughout the history, if you see, each and every time Paramashiva has come, landed on the planet Earth, on Bhumi, to wipe out all the negativity, be it in the form of the Alahala poison, be it in the form of when Bhasmasura tried to attack Paramashiva himself, the one who blessed him with the same boon which he received, be it in the form of annihilating the Tripunasuras. Paramashiva comes down again and again and again to get rid of the negativity plaguing the humanity and to bestow the superconscious breakthrough to all of us. The supreme founder of Hinduism, over the past 22 years, has not only done so many of the public services and established all these KAILASAs, all these enlightenment ecosystems across the globe, but is actively, even today, personally involved in conducting and raising the individual consciousness of each and every one of us. We are so blessed and fortunate to have the supreme founder of Hinduism working with us directly on a one-to-one basis, something which the Paramashivoham program participants are experiencing right now. And so we would like to take this opportunity and welcome the Paramashivoham participants to this auspicious day where all the anti-Hindu elements and spiritual elements decided to commit suicide and allow for the superconscious breakthrough, for the victories of Supreme Founder of Hinduism and the manifestation of KAILASA to happen. Let us now actually take a closer look into the persecution which has been going on not just for the past couple of decades or for the past couple of generations, but has been going on for more than 5,000 years. This persecution, which is being done on the supreme founder of Hinduism, is just a culmination of the various persecutions, the various genocidal attacks which have been happening on Hinduism for the past 5,000 years. If you look at the world GDP, if you look at the statistics of the ancient civilization, out of the 49 civilizations, ancient civilizations, indigenous civilizations, sampradayas, traditions which existed, out of them, Hinduism is the only remaining tradition, only remaining sampradaya. And even this tradition is in the intensive care unit. It is just in the state of coma and has the possibility of dying, of being exterminated. And thus, the advent of the supreme founder of Hinduism, the advent of the avatar, happened on 1978, where Paramashivoham himself landed in the holy sacred town of Tiruvannamalai, manifested to not only give us the superconscious breakthrough and raise us to help us experience the state and space of Paramadvaita, but also to establish and create the legitimacy and a safe haven, the seed bank for Hinduism in the form of the only Hindu nation, KAILASA. Looking deeper into the persecution happened on the supreme founder of Hinduism himself, which has been ongoing and is still happening over the past couple of decades, past couple of generations. Hinduism was a prosperous era. Hinduism thrived, and even the concept of poverty was not known by any person, any citizen, any individual living in India. The early signs where the persecution, the illegal attacks started happening on KAILASA and on the supreme founder of Hinduism were through the vested interests of media by the various people who were trying to grab the land sharks eyeing donated properties in the India and the US, as well as the atheists of Tamil Nadu, the power centers of them and their media houses in South India. The multiple individuals involved in these attacks, involved in these persecutions are many. To name a few noteworthy names: R.T. Rao, Lenin Karupar, and many others, such as Vinay Bharadwaj. The list goes on and on and on, where these people directly involved in instigating and starting the persecution, creating the snowball effect for their own destruction begins. It was a deadly combination of misuse of media and legal forces propelled to instigate and create the defamation cases and persecution on the Supreme Founder of Hinduism. The Supreme Founder of Hinduism, with millions of followers around the world and an average of 50% of women and female followers and celebrities as well. They created the false videos, created the marked videos, and started spreading it virally using the largest television network in India, which was the Sun Network. Not only that, but actively all the computers and internet, everything at their disposal was used to spread the virally fabricated video. If you see the history of the internet, it is not even because of the COVID pandemic, which jammed and halted the internet traffic. Only twice in the history of the internet, since the happening of the internet, has the internet been jammed. The first time was on the passing away of Michael Jackson, and the second time was of the fabricated video of the Supreme Founder of Hinduism. So just think the extent and the amount of effort being put behind to persecute, illegally defame, and do the illegal attack on the Supreme Founder of Hinduism. If you calculate and add up all the numbers, all the videos, the number of hours of content which has been spread about the Supreme Founder of Hinduism, that content comes up to more than 15,000 hours of defamatory coverage on live television and a noteworthy number of 1.56 years of abusive video footage. Just imagine so much of footage being done and being created for the defamation to illegally persecute the Supreme Court of Hinduism. These are just glimpses of the persecution which has been spanning for more than a decade, which has been happening on the Supreme Court of Hinduism. The same thing can be said which is happening on the Supreme Court of Hinduism himself. Starting from the very people, very devout, who donated the land to the Supreme Court of Hinduism, all of them have been attacked and persecuted as well. Where the person as Pratap, who donated the area of the sacred banyan tree and the whole property of the Adi KAILASA of the Bengaluru Adinam, due to the fake news and land sharks and false cases being filed on the Supreme Court of Hinduism, the original donor had to fight in court to ensure this donated land doesn't go into the hands of land sharks and it remains with swamps. You can see in the multiple levels, multiple ways where the attack, defamation, and in what and all different ways these attacks try to happen on the Supreme Court of Hinduism. Not only that, but the police illegally froze the bank accounts of the Supreme Court of Hinduism. It is actually illegal for the police to freeze the accounts of a charitable trust. It was crossing the limits of their jurisdiction. The affected party, the ashram, the Nithyananda Sangha at the time, was not informed before its accounts were frozen. And thus, no money was available for the Supreme Court of Hinduism's legal defense. It paralyzed the ashram, it paralyzed the Sangha to perform its basic function. The illegal ban, the illegal freezing of the bank account of the Nithyananda Sangha had lasted for more than 84 days. This had a huge impact on the social and charitable activities such as the Annadan, the free medical camps, the daily temple activities, the rituals which need to be performed to Paramashiva on a daily basis, the taking care of the cows in the Goshala, the Gurukul, which is the traditional Veda schools, even the day-to-day livelihood of the Adinavasis, the ashramites who were apart and staying in these campuses. In such multiple levels, their lives and the charitable actions, all of them had been affected. This is something unheard of in India. Never it has happened where without obtaining any sort of permission, without any reason, with just a single letter from the police officer, from the judiciary department, sending it to the bank and having all the accounts closed. Though the High Court of Karnataka passed the order of lifting the freeze of the bank accounts on the trust, charitable trust and charitable organizations of KAILASA and the Nithyananda Sangha, the freezing of the bank accounts and request to the court that we want to withdraw the letters directing to the freezing of these various accounts and charitable activities. So, Maharaj, maybe you can go ahead and start explaining about the illegal arrest that happened on the Supreme Court of Hinduism, starting on the false rape case, where the rape case which was filed did not even have a victim, not even have a person who even said that they or even claimed that the so-called victim, there was no even victim which was even there when the false rape case was even charged, leading to the illegal imprisonment of the Supreme Court of Hinduism. Yes.
This is the first time in India when a man, the Supreme Court of Hinduism, was charged with a rape case without any victim being named itself, and was arrested for no reason and with no evidence, and when there was not even a victim who was claiming of being raped. The media had hyped the video, created a wave of the whole persecution and rumors and allegations, resulting in pressure on the judiciary to do something quickly, ultimately to leading the unlawful arrest of the Supreme Court of Hinduism on a case of rape with no victim itself over there and a morph video. So all the logic and due process was out of the door itself. So there was literally no person who was even claiming to have gone through any of this. Even though there was no person who was even claiming, the media just hyped the whole thing, and because they were being forced, the police just arrested the Supreme Court of Hinduism, and all the different kinds of atrocities which were done against the Supreme Court of Hinduism. He was refused of food and water, and that was over more than 7 days. The Supreme Court of Hinduism has fed more than, at that time, had fed more than a few million people with his own hands. And he himself was denied of any food and water for over 7 days. And to name a few other atrocities that were done against the Supreme Court of Hinduism, but like he was not even given proper facility to stay. The place that he was staying did not even have a bed. The Supreme Court of Hinduism had to just use the ground that which was wet, and the floor was getting cold. And they played noise of the cutting blades to torture the Supreme Court of Hinduism. Now, we will be having a short break, and we'll be continuing the session after a few minutes.
I welcome you all with my love and respect. Let you all open all your three eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Because this understanding about which I am going to talk gave me the courage to leave the home. Today's subject is Maya. Actually, many times, the young age I used to think I should leave the home, go around, live a sannyas life. Suddenly, one day, when I was reading one of the Shankara's work on this Maya, somehow the concept clicked. The word Maya cannot be translated into English. Thinking the lesser reality as the higher reality is what we call Maya. What you are seeing, you can't say this is illusion. No, this is not ultimate. Your understanding this is ultimate is illusion. The moment the click happened, I was ready not only to leave the house, decided to live like a Shankara. In the Vedic tradition, anybody wants to become enlightened has to leave their home. They have to become homeless. It is a basic condition for enlightenment. You can't be in your hometown. You have to start wandering, studying, because to enter into the ultimate truth, you need to have the courage to go behind wherever it leads. There is a beautiful sutra in Brahma Sutra, the first sutra of Brahma Sutra. It says, Atato Brahma Jignasa, let us inquire into the reality. It says, only a courageous person who is ready to go behind wherever truth leads can enter into this science. In those days, we had a beautiful system. When somebody becomes enlightened, he will go around and sit with all other scholars, pandits, learned people, and he will open up his understanding. The other person will open up his understanding. Whoever can take the other person to the deeper level of understanding will follow him. That's all. That is why exploring the truth into the deeper and deeper level has been made as a compulsory basic value for anybody who wants to explore the reality, explore into the truth. What we need to understand from this story, courage to go behind the truth, wherever it leads. Even they are ready to gamble with their life, but they are ready for truth. If you accept or start working on the reality, whatever you see can be Maya. It feels as if the ground on which you are standing is opening or giving way, is taken away. It needs courage. It may suddenly open a new door to you. You must be able to go into the door, only then you can see the next door. Because I am trying to reproduce the same understanding and experience which happened in me. Understand? When I understood that Maya, the concept of Maya, it gave me so much of joy and courage to do anything. I decided I will live like a Shankara. There is every possibility you will catch the glimpse. I am not telling you will run away from a home. You will have the same energy and excitement and liberation when you realize. Paramashivoham. Om
Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvadhitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadhilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavadhitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Nityanam everyone. Today is the first day of Vijayotsavam. Vijayotsavam is the celebration of the worst genocidal attack turning into a grand unimaginable victory for Hindus. For more than 2000 years, indigenous Hindu civilizations, which thrived in 56 nations and spanned 6 million square kilometers of Asia, was wiped off through mass murders and killing more than 400 million indigenous Hindu people. Vijayotsavam, today, the anti-spiritual element Suicide Day, is the day when the same genocide was attempted on the 1008th incarnation, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. And we all know what happens when demons, anti-spiritual elements, try to attack Paramashivam. They all had set the stage for their own destruction. The day Ravana airlifted Sita, he decided to commit suicide. The same way, the day they attacked, tried to eliminate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, they decided to commit suicide. Each and every anti-spiritual enemy has turned into a war horse that pulls the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's chariot forward to the grand success of KAILASA, the only Hindu nation. The anti-spiritual elements are consumed by their own hatred and anger and didn't realize that the more they cherish enmity towards Paramashiva, the faster they pull the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's chariot forward. Once the mad horse is tamed by its own hunger, it will drive the chariot of its tamer. Today, we celebrate not the suicide of any people, but the suicide of anti-spiritual ideologies, anti-spiritual and anti-Hindu elements. The more Hinduism's enemies cherish enmity, the more they pull the Dharma Ratha, the wheel of the cosmic justice, to roll forward, thereby killing their own purpose and destroying themselves. The magnificence of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's victories over every attack is that each were victories for the grand narrative of Hinduism itself. Using warfare and lawfare, they drove the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism literally homeless and nameless. But he returned creating KAILASA, which is a real nation that is now immune to all warfare and lawfare, giving the possibility of sovereign land for all Hindus today who are driven homeless and nameless by anti-spiritual elements. When the anti-spiritual elements froze all of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's bank accounts to stop all social and humanitarian services, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism responded by creating the Reserve Bank of KAILASA, which is now a safe haven for all dharmic services for the 2 billion Hindus. The anti-spiritual elements created algorithmic typhoons on the internet, jamming the internet by spreading mass, distorted and defaming information about the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and many other indigenous Hindu leaders. Today, those same algorithmic torrents spread the news of KAILASA's success like wildfire, giving avenues for all Hindus in all these spaces to have their voice heard through KAILASA's social media services and embassies. The anti-spiritual elements which illegally imprisoned the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, throwing on him false rape cases in various false charges. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was imprisoned, starved, and tortured. But without waiting even a moment to give back, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, from within the jail cell itself, organized for all the prison inmates to have free food through the Annadan services. Today, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism feeds free meals to millions all over the world. Astonishingly, reducing the crime rate of every city, KAILASA provides free Annadan services. The anti-spiritual elements didn't allow him to keep his own deities in his land. He was not allowed to worship in his own home. But through Kailasa's foreign services, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has sought out the safest homes for Hinduism, its people, and temples, in lands where Hinduism is not even recognized as a religion. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has established diplomatic relations and secured agreements with their leaders to allow Hindu worship to happen undisturbed, thereby giving homes for practicing Hindus around the world. The anti-spiritual forces use lawfare to ban the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism from speaking and teaching Hinduism. Through Kailasa, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has given voice to 2 billion Hindus to speak out about the violation of human and divine rights done to them. The anti-spiritual elements back the sacredness of the sannyas order that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism belongs to. Through Kailasa, no sadhu now needs to fear for their lives or their freedom to follow that tradition. Today is the day we celebrate these and many more unfathomable victories of Hinduism. Through the grand narrative of Kailasa, all by the divine grace and blessings of the thousand-age incarnation, the Paramavatara of Paramashivam, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. Today is the convergence of the space-time when all Hindus are blessed to have all their prayers for refuge, rescue, and rejuvenation delivered by the only Hindu nation of Kailasa. We celebrate today as the day when the anti-spiritual elements expose themselves and set a cosmic course for the ultimate destruction of themselves and all anti-spiritual, anti-Hindu elements through the establishment of the only Hindu nation of Kailasa. By the 1008th incarnation of Paramashivoham, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam.
ராஜகுலதிலக லோகத்தின் அதிபதி நாடாளும் நாயகன் அழகன் குழகன் ஆனந்தஜித்தன் கைலாசபதி காவலன் கைலாச அடியார் காதலன் அரண் நித்யானந்த பரமசிவம் எழுந்தருளி வாரார்.
The victory of the ultimate manifestation, Paramavatara of Paramashiva, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, over the anti-spiritual elements and negative forces of the world. The festival of Vijayotsavam begins today on the 2nd of March with the anti-spiritual elements Suicide Day, the day when the evil forces of Adharma launched their multi-pronged attack on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, in order to assassinate him and destroy his spiritual community and his mission to give superconscious breakthrough to humanity. In the year 2010, the Hindu media elements, the terrorists, showed a morphed video of the Supreme Pontiff and kindled collective negativity against him in media. These Hindu media terrorists even barged into the monastery, set fire to the Supreme Pontiff's personal living quarters where he was staying in on this day in 2010. Whenever anti-spiritual elements gang up and attack a living incarnation, by the law of cosmic justice, by the law of karma, their own actions come back onto them, thereby destroying themselves. The moment Ravana airlifted Sita, he committed suicide. So, literally, the anti spiritual elements, by attacking the living manifestation of Paramashiva, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, committed suicide on this very day. This is the day when every year KAILASA stands exhibiting its commitment to all the gurus, incarnations, temples, and ancient Sarvagnya Pithas that have been attacked by anti-spiritual elements during the longest ongoing genocide of indigenous peoples in the world history by Hindu media forces. On March 2nd, we, the people of KAILASA, stand in solidarity with the entire Guru Parampara, with all the Hindu saints and Hindu religious and spiritual leaders in this world to show our commitment to protecting and spreading the light of Sanatana Hindu Dharma. This festival of Vijayotsavam kindles in all the Hindu warriors all over the world the fire of Kshatriyatva in order to align us all towards the noble goal of protecting and reviving Sanatana Hindu Dharma on planet Earth, as envisioned and enmissioned by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam.
On this occasion of Anti-Spiritual Element Suicide Day, we here in Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva Devalaya at Adi Kailasa Nithyananda Pita Sarvagnya Pita will now witness the ritual of Shatru Samhara, the ritual symbolizing the destruction of demonic forces. In the story of Chandika Parameshwari in the Devi Mahatmyam, when all the demons captured the Devaloka, all the gods maintained the powerful vow of ahimsa, of non-violence, which pleased Devi Paramashiva Shakti. Out of her deep compassion, she assumes the form of Mahishasura Mardini and slays the demon Mahishasura. In the Devi Mahatmyam, Devi plays the divine Leela and says, Garja Garja Kshanam Mudha Maduyavat Pibamyaham Mayatvayi Hatetreva Garjishyantyashu Devataha. She tells Mahishasura, "O fool, just rejoice yourself for a few more moments while I am filled with supreme bliss. Very soon you will be destroyed and all the gods will be rejoicing here in this very place." Similarly, let us now reenact the Shatru Samharam done by Devi Chandika Parameshwari, where we showcase that no matter how strong the Hindu media forces may be, they are eventually bound by the laws of cosmic justice and end up paying the price for their actions. While the Supreme Pontiff is protected by Devi Paramashiva Shakti, Bhagavan Kalabhairava, others, and other ferocious gods and goddesses of Kailasa, thus bringing victory to Kailasa and Sanatana Hindu Dharma. Here in the Shatru Samhara courtyard of Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva Devalaya, the Utsava Vigraha of Devi Paramashiva Shakti graces us here with all the ferocious manifestations of Paramashiva, Bhagavan Kalabhairava, Gajasamhara Murti, Yamantakar, who is the Kalasamhara Murti, and the Tripurantakar, along with the Utsava Vigraha of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam. The effigy prepared here today is an embodiment of the anti-spiritual ideologies, anti-Hindu elements. Rituals are, as per Hinduism, are recreations of cosmological events. March 2nd, 2010 was when malefic anti-spiritual forces in space-time had converged to annihilate Hinduism. The ritual is a cosmological event in space-time, and here we are ritualistically witnessing the anti-spiritual elements in the form of the effigy and before the court of cosmic justice, cosmic energy, cosmic mother, Paramashiva Shakti herself, who at that time protected and guided the Supreme Pontiff when the attack first happened. We stand witness today to a convergence of parallel dimensions of the universe. Literally, Paramashiva Shakti, Mahakala Bhairava, and all the manifestations of Paramashiva, the Purantakar, Yamantakar, and Gajasamhara Murti are alive and ferociously here with us. In this cosmic courtyard, let us now begin the rituals of the Vijayotsavam Shatru Samhara. With Sakshat Dandavat Pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Bhagavan, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, we request his divine grace and blessings for the burning of the effigy, symbolizing the destruction of the anti-spiritual elements by the hands of cosmic justice. We'll now begin the rituals of the Shatru Samharam. Please be seated with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Bring your awareness to the Ananda Gandha Chakra and please be in a deep space of devotion and gratitude. Nityanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Nityanandeshwara Paramashiva Samarambham Nityanandeshwari Paramashiva Shakti Madhyamam Nityananda Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Lalathe Tripundri Nitila Dhrita Kasturi Tilakaha Spuran Maladhara Spurita Katika Upina Vasanaha Dadano Dushtaram Chirasi Phanirajam Shashikalam Pradipa Sarvesham Arunagiri Yogi Vijayate Aratrikam Om Somo va etasya rajyamadhatte Yo raja sanrajyo vaso me nayajate Devasuva medhani havigumsi bhavanti Ya etavanto ve devanagum savaha Taevasme sa. We are now witnessing the battle of the Shatru Samharam. The large bulk of the 700 verses of the Durga Shaptasati are the description of Devi Chandika Parameshwari destroying the Asuras, the Danavas, and the glories of how she is continuously battling with the various types of demons.
Yes, and in fact, the Supreme Pontiff himself reveals that the demons in the Devi Mahatmyam are nothing but the various manifestations of our own false identity, our ego, which are constantly battling with our master, our Guru. It is our Guru who knows best how to defeat all of these egos in our way to enlightenment.
Mahishasura comes in various forms, in fact. He comes as an elephant, as a buffalo, and also as a demon. Devi also battles demons like Raktabija, Shumbha, Nishumba, who have insane and powers of multiplication and strength. But Devi gracefully, with tremendous will persistence, removes these demons one by one, bringing safety and protection to all the Devas and to the whole cosmos itself.
And this context of Devi Mahatmyam has a stark similarity to the life of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagwan Nithyananda Paramashivam, and what he has faced from the anti-spiritual Hindu media forces who are constantly trying to destroy his mission to give a superconscious breakthrough to humanity. Bhagwan has faced attacks in all the forms from these various anti-spiritual elements, ranging from media trial, character assassination, lawfare, cultural genocide, and ethnic cleansing. And all of these attacks, just by the virtue of him being constantly established in the space of Paramashivatva, Paramadvaita, has made all these attacks not just redundant, but has made them backfire onto these forces.
Yes, it is in fact the spark of devotion to one's Guru, to Paramashiva, that gives one strength to overcome any enemy, any conflict, or any suffering. It is Paramashiva Shakti's magnificence which was there in her state of enlightenment, in her Paramashivatva, that gave her the strength to overcome all of the Danavas and all of the demons. It was her devotion to Paramashiva.
And let's not forget that in the words of the Supreme Pontiff himself, Hinduism is nothing but Guru Shishya Parampara. And it is this Guru Parampara that all these anti-spiritual elements are trying to destroy. And why is that? It is because, again, as Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagwan Nithyananda Paramashivam, has put it, all the spirituality on planet Earth, and not just Hinduism, all the spirituality on planet Earth is saved, is protected only by Guru Parampara. It is only by this constant and consistent transfer of the light of enlightenment, the flame of knowledge from Guru to disciple, through the process of Diksha, initiation, that the light of enlightenment is kept alive on planet Earth. And it is this Guru Parampara that is victorious today against all these forces, the demonic forces who are trying to destroy the possibility of the superconscious breakthrough on planet Earth.
We'll now begin the ritual. Aratrikam Somo va etasya rajyamadhatte Yo raja sanrajyo vaso me nayajate Devasuva methani havigumsi bhavanti Ya etavanto ve devanagum savaha Taevasme savan prayachanti Tayena punasuvante rajyaya Devasuraja bhavati Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agnihi Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam dasya bhasha sarvamidam vibhati Karpura gauram karunavataram samsara saram bhujagendraharam सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी परमशिव शक्त्यै नमः। श्री महाकाल भैरव स्वामिने नमः। श्री सर्वदेव देवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः। सर्वाभ्यो देवताभ्यो नमः। कर्पूर नीराजनं सन्दर्शयामि रक्षां धारयामि। After offering the arati to all of the deities, we will now witness the lighting of the torch, the Tivetti, and we will now witness the burning of the effigy.
सर्वबाधा प्रशमनं त्रैलोक्यस्याखिलेश्वर। प्रशमनं त्रैलोक्यस्याखिलेश्वरी। एवमेव त्वया कार्यम् अस्मद्वैरिविनाशनम्। हर 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 भगवान नित्यानंदेश्वर के, देवी नित्यानंदेश्वरी के, श्री काल भैरव स्वामी के, भगवान नित्यानंद परमशिवम के, अन्नामलयार के, श्री अन्नामलयार के, श्री अन्नामलयार के।
At this auspicious moment in the divine presence and grace of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, all the gods and goddesses are blessing us, protecting us, and showering us with all of their love and blessings. Devi, in the Devi Mahatmyam, gives a promise to the Devas. She says, Itham yada yada bada danuvotha bhavishyati tada tadavatiraham karishyam yadi samkshayam. She promises that whenever the Danavas arise, whenever the demonic anti-spiritual elements arise, she will manifest again and put an end to them again and again. Bhagavan Sri Krishna promises the same in the Bhagavad Gita, saying, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskrutam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. From yuga to yuga, he will manifest again to establish dharma. Today, we celebrate that they have kept their promise and manifested in our lives as our beloved Guru, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. With this, with deep love and gratitude, we surrender at his divine lotus feet. We now offer the Laghu Puja to the deities. Om Dhurasi Dhurva Dhurvantam Dhurvatanyo Osman Dhurvatitam Dhurvayam Vayam Dhurvamastvam Devanamasi Sasnitamam Papritamam Jishtatamam Banhitamam Devahutamam Ahritamasi Havirdhanam Trigum Hasvamahva Amitrasyatva Chakshusha Prekshir Mabhirma Sambikta Matvahigum Sishum. Shri Nithyanandeshwari Paramashiva Shaktiye Namaha. Shri Mahakala Bhairava Swamine Namaha. Shri Sarvadeva Devi Swarupaya Bhagavate Shri Nithyananda Paramashivaya Namaha. Sarvapyo Devatabhyo Namaha. Dhupam Agrapayami. ॐ उद्दीप्य स्वजातवेदो भक्तिं निरृतिं मम वसुगुष्यमख्यमावह जीवनं च दिशो दश मानो हि गुंसेर्जातवेदो गामस्वं पुरुषं जगत् अभिद्वृदग्न आगहि श्रिया मा परिपातय। श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी परमशिवशक्त्यै नमः। श्री महाकालभैरवस्वामिने नमः। श्री सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः। सर्वाभ्यो देवताभ्यो नमः। दीपं संदर्शयामि। अथ नैवेद्यम्। ॐ मधुवातारतायते मधुक्षरन्ति सिन्धवः माध्वीर्णः सन्तोषसीः मधुरक्तमुतोषसि मधुमत्पार्थिवगुं व्रजः मधुद्योरस्तु नः पिता मधुमान्नो वनस्पतिर्मधुवागुंस्तु सूर्यः माद्वीर्गावो भवन्तु नः। मधु मधु मधु। श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी परमशिवशक्त्यै नमः। श्री महाकालभैरवस्वामिने नमः। श्री सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः। सर्वाभ्यो देवताभ्यो नमः। अमृतं महानैवेद्यं निवेदयामि। नैवेद्यानन्तरमाचमनीयं समर्पयामि। ॐ राजाधिराजाय प्रसख्यसाहिने नमो। राजाधिराजाय प्रसख्यसाहिने नमो वयं वै श्रवणाय कुर्महे समे कामान् कामकामाय मह्यं कामेश्वरो वै श्रवणो ददातु कुबेराय वै श्रवणाय महाराजाय नमः। कर्पूरगौरं करुणावतारं संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी परमशिवशक्त्यै नमः। श्री महाकालभैरवस्वामिने नमः। श्री सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः। सर्वाभ्यो देवताभ्यो नमः। कर्पूर नीराजनं सन्दर्शयामि। रक्षां धारयामि। सोनाद्रीशावताराय ज्योतिस्तंभस्वरूपिणे श्रीकैलासप्रधानाय नित्यानन्दाय मङ्गलम्। तत्त्वज्ञानप्रदाताय नित्यानन्देश्वररूपिणे श्रीकैलासप्रधानाय नित्यानन्दाय मङ्गलम्। मूलप्रकृतिरूपाय परमशिवशक्तिस्वरूपिणे श्रीकैलासप्रधानाय नित्यानन्दाय मङ्गलम् दण्डत्रिशूलहस्ताय कालकालस्वरूपिणे श्रीकैलासप्रधानाय नित्यानन्दाय मङ्गलम् आदिपूज्याय देवाय सकृत्पूर्णत्वरूपिणे श्रीकैलासप्रधानाय नित्यानन्दाय मङ्गलम् सर्वाभयविनाशकाय शत्रुसंहाररूपिणे श्रीकैलासप्रधानाय नित्यानन्दाय मङ्गलम् योगपट्टाभिषिक्ताय राजसन्न्यासधारिणे श्रीकैलासप्रधानाय नित्यानन्दाय मङ्गलम् सार्वभौमैकपत्याय राजराजार्चिताय च श्रीकैलासप्रधानाय नित्यानन्दाय मङ्गलम् मङ्गलं कल्पवृक्षाय मङ्गलं ज्ञानदायिने परमशिवाय श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वराय मङ्गलम् मङ्गलं श्रीविद्याम्बायै मङ्गलं कामदायिन्ये सर्वमङ्गलधात्री नित्यानन्देश्वर्यै मङ्गलम् मङ्गलं गुरुदेवाय मोक्षमूलाय मङ्गलम् परमावताराय नित्यानन्दाय गुरवे मङ्गलम् त्वं स्मृतमहं धन्य मम प्राणमहेश्वर गङ्गाधरनामेति स्तोत्रस्थानं दधाम्यहम् हरिः ॐ तत्सत् सर्वं भगवत् श्रीनित्यानन्द परमशिव पादुकार्पणमस्तु ॐ नित्यानन्दम्
We thank you all for joining us for this grand ritual of the Vijayotsavam. We invite all of you to join us for the further celebrations of the Vijayotsavam. Importantly, at 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time, we will be having a special satsang conducted by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam. Thank you, Nithyanandam.
Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om 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 Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
March 2nd and 3rd, 4th, 5th, this 1 week At least 10 times they tried on different years. Very aggressively. There were small attacks, but some of the very aggressive, very planned attacks, locking me inside my room, ashram, tapovan, kutia, and putting the petrol bomb and burning. That kind of a sure shot methods they tried. By the grace of Paramashiva, protection of Mahabhairava, I am still alive. I am saved by the grace of Paramashiva and protection of Mahabhairava, Mahakala Bhairava. Still, I am continued to be protected by the grace of Paramashiva and protection of Mahakala Bhairava. You can see the photos and videos. It is not created even by us. It was done a live reality show by national news channels of India. They were pride about burning me live. They were not interested in legally dealing with me. First of all, I have not done anything wrong, anything illegal or immoral or antisocial. I have not done anything wrong in any level. They just want to eliminate me because I am working for the revival of power manifestation science and Hinduism. Spiritual enlightenment science stored in Hinduism. I never worked against any other religion. I never spoke against any religion. I just started working to revive Hinduism. That's all. I have faced so much aggression, terrorist attacks on me, assassination attempts, lawfare, hate speech, every level. Today I am here by the grace of Paramashiva with the protection of Mahakala.